Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the Big Bird bus service coloring activity right here. As you see right here is I went ahead and colored a Big Bird, and then right here, as you got right here, is a school bus, and then of course it could be maybe any other bus right here, but you see right here is I went ahead and drew the details right here to say the tires, and of course, and then along with the street, as if it's a road or if it's a street it is. But anyway, but basically that kind of brings back a lot of memories about that whenever I was drawing the bus, it was the school buses, knowing about the times you go out to the school bus around that time of morning, and then waiting for the school bus it was. And with Big Bird, if I think about it, is like that the Yiga got right here is the number of seats right here. But basically this coloring activity is talking about is that remember that there was a time to where that there would be like what say is like assembly inside the cafeteria it was. And I remember that they had this like what you call it, this little robotic bus that they would bring into the cafeteria. And anybody more I could think about that yeah back then in the schools it was that they would have assemblies, and I can remember that they would have this robotic bus, and of course they would have I think a clown that would come to school and show the students some magic tricks like the magic coloring book and stuff. But another one was that magic tricks that they would show was that there would be a student that would be say they would call somebody up to come up to stand in front of all your kids, and I can remember that there was somebody that was talking about what would be in the refrigerator, and knowing about if you look in the refrigerator and then find out that the refrigerator was empty, it was, and knowing about that there would be they would call a kid to come up to and stand up up to be announced in front of all the other kids. And I can remember that they would have it to where that they would put like a cover over his face, and then he would put the cover down, and then they would show him with with a pair of glasses, and of course right there was maybe with the soda can, or maybe maybe a carton of milk or whatever you call it, and knowing about that the type of magic trick it is. And I used to a lot of times if I can remember right, have I ever been called to be announced as like somebody were to ask me to volunteer as like what you call is like to show you a trick about anything related to an assembly. It's like if you want to go ahead and volunteer and try these pants on or something like that, or to go ahead and hold something in the air, whatever it was. But anyway, that I remember that a lot of the assemblies, of course, they had something to do with magic tricks. But anyway, right here is Big Bird, and I can remember the talking bus it was. But like with Big Bird, if he would be, it's like I think I'm trying to remember if Big Bird will be a he or a she. I think it may be a he, but anyway that. But you have Big Bird right here, and be operating as the bus. And anybody would probably think about it is like the wheels on the bus go round and round. It's like the wheels on the bus go round and round. But other than that it's like with Sesame Street characters. But you have right here is Big Bird, and it'd be operating as like the bus right here, and knowing about that with the school bus it was is basically the talking bus will be talking about if there was school buses that were lined up right behind them, and knowing about that one of the kids it's like talking about it's like that they would be saying something like, well, be riding in back of one school bus, and then apparently one of the school kids that would throw something out the school bus and then hit another bus, I think it was. And knowing about that if I can remember right, that I think it was a notebook. I think that they threw a notebook or something like that, to maybe a milk carton or something like that, out the window, and it wound up hitting the other bus, right behind them. And then I can remember the talking bus would say about something that they would the eyes, it had eyeballs, but right here it was, and I can remember it was like and it hurt. That knowing about that they got if they were to get hit by something that was tossed out of the school bus, it's like knowing about it, it's like he got hurt, and Yeah, it was like a real robotic talking bus, and I don't know if they still do that nowadays to where that they have like what you call like a talking bus. But on the other hand, that if it is, say a talking bus, and of course right here is the bus schedule. It is a lot of times have it to where that they go by street to street and then go route to route. It is a lot of times that no later than no later than 8:15 a.m. A lot of times that you would normally see the school bus coming by. It was no later than 8:15, something like that. Whenever they would complete their routes, to picking up the school kids and dropping them off at the school. And this reminds me of a game that was on the computer. If most of us here are familiar with, I think it was produce. I don't know if it was an Apple, a PC or a Mac game or anything like that. But basically, it was a game to where that you could drive a school bus and be a bus driver and pick up school kids. It was, and I can remember that in the game is showing that if you were to miss a route or whatever on the school bus, it would actually allow you to where you can put the school bus in reverse. It was put it in reverse, and a couple of times I have been on the school bus whenever they put the school bus in reverse. And if most of us here can remember that they go like beep 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 beep, and then so if most of us get the idea of beep beep beep, but other than that but you hear right here is you got beep 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 beep. But anyway, when I hear that sound, besides school buses, it's like it could be garbage trucks or other type of it's like carry-on trucks or anything. But you have right here, and then I can go ahead and add some details right here. It's like, for say, it's the lights, and a lot of times whenever the school buses come to a stop, that they have these flashing lights that come on. You got right here is a stop sign that comes out, and a lot of times that put the bus in reverse, and then if you were to put the bus say pull, and a couple of times that the school bus will be coming up and down the street, and I can remember a couple of times that it would have had to stop at a location. It was because of the fact that the bus could not get through. If I can remember right, on the street where I used to live, that I can remember the bus could not get through, and so they were asking the driver of the vehicle to go ahead and move move the truck or the car from wherever that they were parked so the bus can get through. It was, and known about with most states and most counties and most cities, it is that they would have that rule to where that if you were parked, had your vehicle parked somewhere where it was blocking the bus, or if it was blocking some emergency vehicle, it was, and I don't know about a ticket, but more likely it's like that it comes to immediate attention to where you gotta move the car so that way that move the vehicle so the bus can get through. It is, and a lot of times that they say that they usually honk the horn whenever they're trying to get somebody's attention, be like, can you please move your vehicle? But other than that you have right here is Big Bird bus service. You have Big Bird right here, and knowing about, if I were to draw, it's like the steering wheel about right here. It is. But what I think about with Big Bird is like operating, it's like the bus right here. Knowing about if it's a rental bus or if it's like if they own the bus, and anybody more I can think about that the kind of money that bus drivers like making. I keep thinking about if like on this activity is for Big Bird bus service, it is basically if most of us remember whenever the bus drivers a lot of times would go on strike. It is. I can remember that only 2 times from the years that I've been riding the bus, it was whenever I was in school that the bus drivers a lot of times would go on strike. And right here, it looks like that there's a headset, but that's really the seat, the seat for where Big Bird will be sitting at. And then of course it's like right there is like with the bus. And knowing about that with the bus strike, it is that where it's whenever the bus drivers would say that they didn't think that they were getting paid fair share amount of money, and so that they would just decide to go ahead and like, well, we're might as well strike. And I can remember, the year would have been about that. This story right here that I'm telling you, the year would have been about, you say 1997. I think 1997, and there's another time was back in 2001. It was, I think 2000, 2001, something like that. But anyway, whenever they were talking about the bus drivers going on strike, and I can remember that a lot of the kids, in the school were saying, well, go ahead and go on strike, so that way we won't have to come to school. If I can remember right, there was a lot of kids that would say that they don't, we're not going to school, and so you can go on strike or something like that, like in strike. And I can remember they announced on the news that they finally decided that they were going to go on strike, and I can remember, that they announced it, even showed it on the news that there was a lot of kids, of course, in the background that were cheering and stuff, and for whatever reason, that we begin to wonder about that. I'm sure most parents were kind of pretty concerned about that, because about no bus drivers and knowing about how their kids were going to get to school and back, and so far as the concern about from whenever they go to school and who's going to pick them up, it is. But I remember that after about 3 weeks later, that they said that they were going to hire new bus drivers, and I think that they 1 year whenever they went on strike, that they hired gotten new bus drivers, it was, or maybe gotten better salaries to pay the bus drivers, as it was, and then they finally got the buses working again. So it's like they got the buses back in operation again. But in that right here, that place right here on the bus, to where that they would be like, say, some handicap spots, handicap spots. And I rode a couple buses that had some spots right here to where the handicap spots, and where you could strap a handicapped person, it was, and it would be doors on the side that would let them in. But I remember whenever I rode the bus, a lot of times I wanted to sit in the back. It's like, right here is the buses, a lot of times that they would be at about 35, 40, 42 feet long, say square. It's like the diameter it is, it's like by the measurement. But anyway, to say do the calculations, it is. But basically talking about what, say, Big Bird Bus Service is that showing you right here is like with the buses. And knowing about that with the buses, though, it's like a lot of times that if between age limit, I think it was the age limit that so far as with the seats, I could remember a couple of times that get on the school bus, and then it was hard for me to find a seat, and they would even assign seats for a lot of the riders, it was. And knowing about that was a kind of another story. And like, get on the bus, and then a couple of times that you may not want to sit by somebody, or whichever it was, but your bus driver would have their rules too about where you can sit and stuff. But a couple of them would even bring their kids on the bus, and like the school bus radio, it's like had the radio on. But other than that you have right here is like, say, where the wheels on the bus go round and round, it is all through the town. And then that, the windshield wipers, I can maybe think about, it's like, a couple of times at the coming home from a long day at school, it was, and then that maybe hearing the sound of the windshield wipers. Anybody probably think about if you want to add some windshield wipers. It's like talking about, it's like, get off the bus, and then the next thing you know, you got to deal with walking in the rain. It is. You see here, anybody more I could think about windshield wipers, that there would be windshield wipers that would come by in like that, or something like that, say like whoop, 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 whoop. But other than that, right here is the windshield wipers. And if anybody would think about that, maybe adding some rain droplets, it's like normally about coloring, just to make it look like if it was raining outside, it was, and adding some rain droplets. Like that, yep, it's the school bus would look a little bit more shinier. It's like if be driving in the rain, driving in the fog, whichever it is. But anyway, that knowing about the types of services though that anybody probably think about is like for the bus drivers it is if you're going to be riding a bus driver service it is that knowing about that the fact about that knowing about what your stops are and getting on the bus and then getting off the bus it was and knowing about with me that I whenever I would ride the bus of course I had a lot of memories though. It's like that one time the bus driver even mentioned about that when somebody was waiting at the bus stop that they would put their book bag down. Yeah, it's like anybody will probably think about it. It's like you got right here is the book bag. They would put their book bag down on the ground just to see if that this is my spot. This is my spot on the school. At the bus stop it is. And I remember one of the kids, of course. Anybody would probably think about thanks for sharing, huh? But this is from what I can remember at the bus stop. It was is that kids a lot of times would put their school book bags it is on the ground just to save their spot. You say on at the bus stop it was. But and they told everybody book bags do not save spots. You just have to be at the stop at on time for to be picked up in order to go to school it is. And with most of us who probably think about it, it's like with most bus stops it was. Guy right here is the bus stop. And anybody more likely thinking about it, if you got the street right here, and I can maybe pick a street name in random. I can maybe pick a Taco, Taco Drive or something like that, for Taco Drive. And anybody probably thinking about it is like for what you say is for Witte Street or something like that. For Witte Street. Witte Street, and then turn left. You say on Sicko Avenue or something like that, and to be able to pick up these students. It was. I remember that not in grade school, but it was in high school though that a lot of the bus drivers a lot of times would ask for directions, especially if there was a substitute driver. They would say, well, you gotta give me directions. And I remember, I can remember I was not good at directions, even whenever I was young. That it was like, you gotta give the school bus driver directions on how to take you to where you live and stuff. And it was like, oh well, I I remember one year that a couple times I rode, and it's like, the bus driver just goes wherever that the required routes were, and I have not been paying attention to where you gotta turn just to go from where I live. But on their hand, that I can remember one time that the bus driver, well, can you show me where you live? It's like you give me directions so I could take you home. And one time I remember that I told the bus driver to turn left. It's like he got right here. Anybody probably think about it, it's like stories can go on and on, but I remember telling me to turn left, and then they were supposed to say you got right here, the left and the right. But anyway, that tell them to turn left it was. And I remember that told them to turn left, but then they were supposed to turn right. Anybody more I could think about that? Turn left and then turn right it is. And then it's like for north, south, east, and west. See, north, south, east and west. There's these directions right here. I'm sure that is correct. But anyway, that I'm sure that is correct. And north, south, east, and west. Northeast, and then north, south, and then southeast. You got right here is the directions it is. And knowing about that, I remember I told them to go ahead and turn left here, and then it's like, come to a dead end. And then now they had to back up, and it's like, yep, I'm gonna show you about how you can give directions. But other than that they have right here, and then of course you got here is with the purple is knowing about. It's like for the for the stop sign is knowing about for this is for the stop for where you gotta get off at. And I can remember that one time whenever I did ride the bus that I gave the bus driver directions, and then apparently that she was misunderstood for how many students that she was supposed to pick up, as so far as 3. That I thought that there was 3 students that I was supposed to pick up, and then like a big bus like this, I would think you'll be able to hold more. But on the other hand, then she radioed in, and it was like, hey, that ain't there supposed to be 3? And I remember that I said about 35 or something like that. And that's like, well, I thought you told me 3. And whenever I got off the bus, I can remember, and she's like, well, thanks for giving me directions. I'm like, yep. So it's like, yep. With bus drivers, if they're substitute bus drivers or anything like that, you're probably thinking about, like, well, whose job is it to give the bus driver directions? It's knowing about the fact about, for good bus service, huh? But other than that, for Big Bird, say bus service, and talking about it's like with the schedule it is, and knowing about, like, the bus routes. Of course, anybody will probably think about with the bus routes it is. If they go by, FT5 or something like that, 4C, I think 4C, usually a lot of times, but I think about if you ride the bus, so they go by the bus routes it is, it's like by the bus numbers it is, but maybe the blue route or to say the purple route or anything like that, anybody is like, for 5X or anything like that, say 5X, everything is like equal to a bus route. But anyway, anybody probably think about, towards the end of the day, I can remember that whenever they would tell everybody what their bus route was, and it was like that, well, we'll be sure, to help you follow you for what bus you gotta go to, just to get home. And of course, it's like, and then going to school. I can remember about every school morning I can remember if I had homework that was due, or just getting off the bus because, find out, we're here at school, and I can remember just walking to the classroom, and I can just remember that the fact about that, that knowing about that really, that here at the school, and then what am I doing? Sometimes I'll be like, well, what am I doing? Well, gotta go to class. And then by the time I get home, and then I can remember just being pretty tired after the school day it was. But other than that, is knowing about, it's like, for so far as it's school, fun. Like this, like for school, like a learning, fun, or if it's what you call is knowing about, this is what you could do, and this is what I could do. But other than that, I'm talking about here is for Big Bird, bus service coloring activity.